blue. It was blue today. I don't know why. Usually red. So we'll see if that makes a difference.
Blue means live?
No, oh, I see. It's red once you're live. Now I'm learning how to do this. So we should be live now. So hey guys, welcome. I'm here with the amazing, fantastic, super stupendous.
Oh boy.
Every adjective I use, I get extra cash for the coming in. Fernando Martinez.
How's it going, guys?
So today, I don't know, I just, what's that?
So we'll see if that makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's me. See, I'm hearing myself talk. I do that every single time. And I do not know how to make it not do that. So maybe someday I will learn how to do that without doing that.
Maybe someday.
But yeah, welcome guys. So I thought we would hang out with Fernando, who, if you don't know, I'll give you like an intro. I like to intro people. It's one of my favorite things to do. One of the first things that what Abby had me do. So Abby, as we'll talk about this, it was in charge of like the pro stuff. Is whenever they'd have a speaker, she'd be like, that was my job, was to intro them. And I'm the worst intro person. So I don't know why she always had me do it, but here we go. So I'm going to introduce Fernando. So he's a filmmaker in New York. Our connection is that Fernando is because you guys are multiple, senior video producer for Adorama. He is basically the backbone of AdoramaTV, I like to think. He's the structure. He's the man.
Oh boy.
And he's also the hand inside my butt when we do the puppet.
Finish that sentence. Please finish that sentence. When we're handling the puppet.
only. Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Fernando's been with us from the beginning, right? You were from the beginning of actually, because if people don't know, the current production team for the most part, or what became the production team, started off as like an independent in store NYC kind of production team before they took over the main channel. And yeah, you were with us then. Yeah,
that's right? Correct. We were just itching to create content for the store at that time, and like here in the city, and then all of a sudden we were just doing bigger and bigger stuff, and there were several administrations, I guess, in that side of AdoramaTV, and they finally, asked us to take over, and we did, and everything's, been great. We love what we do, and we love Adorama, so it's been a match made in heaven.
Awesome. Yeah. I remember actually during that transition period, it was such a weird time, but I definitely wanted Fernando. So I was like, because they were like, oh, pick people to be part, and I was like, yep, we need Fernando, and I'm glad that I did, because it turns out, I mean, you came from being just somebody who was filming. I mean, you had other skills like but you were just filming the stuff to basically running the channel now for the most part. I mean,
yeah, in terms of the channel stuff, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm always really grateful to the time that I spent on your team, and the leadership that you provided, and yeah, I'm always eternally grateful to you and stuff. And obviously, because not only because a lot of stuff that I've been learning, because I was never a photo guy. So like at that point, this is, I guess at this point, like six and so years or whatever. To that point, I mean, yeah, you took photos because it's imagery, but it's not the same as filmmaking. And I didn't know anything about Flash when I started working with you and stuff, and you start picking up a breadth of knowledge just hanging out, which is the easiest part. And it sucks for all your viewers that they don't get to do that. They get to watch your videos, they get to ask you questions, but they don't just go get burgers at Five Guys and then start talking about Flash in the middle of each bite and crap. Like I enjoy those moments, and that's like really, really cool.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point, because why I certainly wouldn't call myself a filmmaker, by the stretch that you're at, but yeah, you learn from people. You learn by being around people. I wouldn't know anything about video. I would ask you. Actually, the setup I'm using, a lot of the stuff that I use is you help me set up. So, it's awesome. It's like you can learn from other people and learn different areas of the industry, because being versatile is super important these days.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I know it's the same thing with Seth, like hanging around Seth, like I've learned a lot more as well, photography based, just like he's like learning now how to edit and shoot. Now he's like a broadcast master right now. He's one of our like main hubs, since we're all working from home. And he's like, man, if you'd have told me that I'd be, doing live broadcasts and managing switchers and stuff, like, even 3 years ago, I would be like, you're crazy. Like, no, of course not. But you have to pick up what you have to pick up in order to, keep moving, keep learning and growing. But two, it's also, who you interact with, what you pick up from different people, and in some instances, even like who inspires you to, search and start doing more stuff as you go. I know a lot of the things I picked up from you is also like with film photography. I mean, I had a film camera. I think I had like an old Minolta, but I mean, what I shot from before, like meeting you and hanging out with like all our Adorama group, film wise, I can't even count the rolls versus before that. It just piles on, and I love that.
It's actually kind of interesting because we, many of us that are like the hosts or different people that are part of Adorama are stills photographers, just like you said, but we produce video. AdoramaTV is a video platform.
Yes.
so we needed that, so the infusion of people that were good at video, but also could, work with a team and kind of organize things or whatever, were so needed. And I think that's where you really came in and was super strong there, You're great at organizing. You're all, some of us, I won't say who, can be hot-headed. Fernando's he's a very soothing person to be around.
I'm just like you can't.
Yeah.
It's funny because like everything, I think it was Erwin or somebody. It's like, no, I always appreciate you're like really calm, and I'm like, not on the inside, man. On the inside, I'm like, holy heck, like no, like this is not like this is falling down, and we have to, like shut this fire down. I mean, it's like always because stuff is always happening, and there's always like new product coming up or new content series that we're trying to pull off, or like there's always a bunch of either several big things or a bunch of little things that we're gonna try to execute. But I also realize that there's no point of like pulling each other's hairs and going crazy, so just keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, no, it's that's the truth, right? And that actually, as you get into, I think production background helps with that because photographers, especially, smaller, production photographers are used to just like running around and dealing with stuff as it comes up. But like on a film set, it's like a bigger thing. Like you look at a bigger picture, right? So you start to think like, okay, well, that's fine. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving pieces, but I'm kind of in that. So I'll work with it. And maybe that helps, or maybe you just chill by your nature. Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know, but like everything, you take it as they come, and try to just solve each problem as they come up, and sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some.
That is the truth, right?
Yeah.
So importantly, what are you eating, right? Because Fernando, for you guys, is a foodie.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So whenever we travel, you're always finding the good restaurants and everything. So are you cooking? Like, what are you doing, man?
Right now we're trying to cook as much as possible, unless we have like a busy morning. Well, first of all, we're I guess fasting in the morning now. I don't know if that's too much information, but we're fasting in the morning, and then we're just having like lunch and trying to have an early dinner. Today we just had a salad, but whenever possible we try to cook some salmon, some couscous, because couscous is amazing. What is the last things we've been doing? Now you caught me off guard. I did not expect the food.
I asked the probing questions. That's
you
what I did.
ask the probing questions. I have to ask my wife to see what we cooked last, but yeah, and just basically trying to stay as healthy as we can because it's not the same. Because at least even if we're out and about in the city and we're trying to we have to eat lunch out and about, it's still you're still moving, you're still doing stuff, so you're still relatively keeping active. Right now it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? It's like I always cook, and I mean I mostly cook from home, but now that I can't go out, it's so weird to like not, and you're not out, like you don't think about it, you're just like, well, I'm eating the same or even less, but all of a sudden, like, I know I'm getting fat, so I'm not.
We're all getting there.
Like it's so weird because I'm like, well, I'm not eating like a lot of junk food. Okay, I did have ice cream last night, but anyways. Maybe I am eating lunch. But yeah, so I started walking because yeah, you got to get out, But no, whenever we travel, Fernando always knows. But he's got the Yelp mastered and all the little coffee shops and stuff. Like that one in
Well,
Vegas.
coffee's important. Like, but I'm not just saying like let's just grab the first piece of caffeine that's there. No, like that I will. I'm not snobby. I'm not gonna be like oh, I won't drink that except for maybe like the Dunkin' Donuts sugary stuff. The regular coffee's fine. I've drinking the regular hot coffee on set a bunch of times because that's the cheapest thing that you will always find on set. That is fine. Regular coffee's fine. But when it's like sugar over sugar over sugar, and then maybe some coffee in there, that I cannot take. That I really, really cannot take. So we've been like expanding since we're more time at home lately, we've been expanding our coffee nook. Yeah, where first we started just like with a regular, like the mocha pot, like you're on the fire, percolator little thing. But now we do a little bit of pour over, or the AeroPress is my favorite thing right now.
Oh, my brother-in-law has that.
If you haven't tried it, try the AeroPress. The AeroPress is amazing.
Yeah.
For good coffee. But even like the peripherals, I'm finding that are very important as well. So we have like a little scale to measure how much coffee you're doing and how much water, and to be able to keep it consistent. Like it's like a little tiny caffeine laboratory set of deliciousness.
Science experiment.
Yes.
That's so funny. Yeah. But yeah, my brother-in-law got the AeroPress, like, I don't know, it's been around for a while, but maybe like a year and a half ago or whatever. Whenever I go and visit them, he always makes me one, and I'm like, oh wow, this is so good. It's so weird, but
it's so cheap though.
Yeah.
You should get one. It's so cheap. I think at the most, like the full kit is like, it has to be under $30, I think, last time checked. And there's different versions. There's either like the regular AeroPress, or like even like there's a to-go version that's like even like a little bit smaller and compacts into its own cup and everything. You should definitely.
I'm a lazy coffee maker. I do like good coffee, but I'm so lazy with it. I just, like I have the mocha and I have my French press, and I mostly use my Keurig because it's the easiest thing. I just put the coffee. So I got.
You're of the New York philosophy that the best coffee is the closest one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and sometimes like on a Sunday, like Sunday mornings are when I'll sit down and like make coffee.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think I may add an AeroPress to my kit because I have used it and it's really good. So I've never done a pour over though, but those always look good.
Pour over is good, depending on how you do a pour over, because it really depends. That's the other thing. You need a good grinder, or at least a decent grinder, to make sure you have some consistency there. But depending on how you do a pour over to me, and maybe I'm doing it right or wrong, but it's always a little bit smoother. It's always like it changes the coffee profile a little bit if you go pour over. Then if you go like with an immersion method, like on a French press or on an AeroPress, like it's funny, but every little technique changes how you're doing, even if it is, coffee and hot water at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's how you put it together, right? It's the science of it. So it's super interesting. I love to experiment with stuff like that, and also cook, because I feel like I say this a lot, like a lot of photographers do, I think, because these early photographers, because there's all the chemicals involved in photography. So like you're working in the darkroom, you're doing that stuff. You're usually a tinkerer if you're into that kind of stuff. So tinkering with food, I mean, why not?
Yes,
so I guess
100%. It's like a little bit more seasoning, a little less seasoning. What if I, cook the salmon in this way, or if I pan fry it, or if I deep fry it, or if I bake it, or whatever. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, I can only do fish if I buy it that day. I don't know why. It's like a mental block for me. So like I've been eating less fish now, which is unfortunate, because I gotta like cook it the day I get it. So I buy it when I'm out, and then that day I have fish, and then I don't have it again. So
I don't like. Still be a time to time thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I'm trying to not go out as much, so I'm kind of spacing things out. So even like the food, like I don't usually freeze meat, but I'm doing it. So it's weird, But
wait a minute, you're telling me that the video with Marissa that just went live and AdoramaTV, you did not just shoot that in Las Vegas? Did you just not fly and then come back?
No, we drove there. No,
oh my God.
Yeah, 100%. I just
Oh,
got
okay.
that.
Well, you know what? I just assumed.
We just, actually, we usually shoot those 10, 15 minutes before they go. That is funny. And you know what's funny about that is I used to like be worried about how they would the order that because of course we shoot the videos ahead of time. I mean, that's the only way to do video production. You have to do it like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I used to like have issues sometimes where like I'd like take longer editing or I needed to add an extra part to a video. So
Mhm.
then at some because I do so many live streams. So somewhere in the middle I'd get my hair cut. So then people would be like, whoa, what hold on, why is your hair long? And they're like tracking the Daniel hair length throughout the process. So
Like there's like a guy with like like red string and a board and like this was first, this was second. Yeah, we do get that a lot whenever we're checking the messages, and when people are nice,
yeah.
they do point stuff like that out, and it's like, well, no, I mean, there needs to be some buffer time, and sometimes we need to, just out of necessity, we need to shoot stuff ahead of time in order for you guys to enjoy it on a regular basis. I mean, because even on a weekly thing, imagine we just shot weekly content for that immediate week. Even that is not with everything else that's going on, because it's like it's not only like that one video that week that's like your only job. You have like other responsibilities and stuff. So we try to bundle production time as best as we can. I mean, and I know we do, and I know you do as well. So but yeah, I mean, I guess again, people assume just like the same as some when you post something on Instagram and it's like, oh, you're there right now. It's like, no, this is like clearly an edited photo that I might have taken like a some time back, but I didn't get to it until we get to it, and that's where it's airing.
Right, continuity errors, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
so right, and it's funny. It took me a while to figure out like how to do that actually when we first started because we used to actually shoot the videos, and I say this a lot because it's actually very funny. I used to do live streams on Thursdays or live presentations. I didn't stream them at first, and then in between the one of the presentations, Sal would shoot me doing the onset video,
Hmm.
basically that technique. And
Yeah.
then he would edit it on Friday and it would go live on Monday. And that's how we used to do it. But then you'd end up with weeks where we were missing videos or there was something going on. So we figured out, yeah, let's get ahead and get a buffer going, which makes a
Yeah.
lot more sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's especially because I mean, as we know on YouTube and almost on any, if you really think about it, on any media, like you need a level of consistency. You need to have your audience be conscious of the fact that, like, hopefully they're conscious of the fact that you will be there and you will have a video for them, and hopefully they're excited to watch that video. But then if that video is not there one week, how do they know it's going to be there the next week or the week after that? So having a constant flow of content, it makes it to where there is a relationship there between the audience and you, and that way they're expecting, it's like, no matter what, I'm gonna watch a video from Daniel at this time, or I'm gonna see this type of content, whatever every creator does, on a constant basis, and creates reliability. It's like if somebody told you, even if you watch it or not, it's like if somebody told you, like, oh, they're canceling The Simpsons. Even if you haven't seen it in like years, you're still going to be heartbroken. It's like, it's not there.
Yeah.
Like I think consistency is definitely important, and having that, um, um, like that connection with the audience in that regard, I feel is important.
Yeah, and that totally helps. I mean, just being ahead of it and then fitting everything in and making it all work together. I think that's the tricky part that people don't realize. Like they enjoy, Adorama TV, but they don't realize there's what 7 or 8, 9 hosts. There's only a lot of hosts, and then there's all the extra
There's
videos.
six. There's
Six.
six, I think. So we're talking right now on a regular basis, from Monday to Friday, we have Bergman 10 a.m. on Monday, Seth 2 p.m. on Monday. We have you 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Vanessa is doing every 2 weeks on Wednesdays, and on the opposite side of that, we have Keith Alexander. So that's
Oh, yes.
five right there, and then we have Gavin and Mark alternating Thursdays, and then Pi. So eight. Actually, you weren't completely wrong. Eight on Friday, and technically, because we don't need a host for TTL whenever Sal is able to pump out a season of that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't host it, but he shoots it. Yeah. So,
8 constant hosts on like on the channel on a regular basis. And again, that's to be able to have, you know, different points of views, different types of content. Um, you know, also, you know, on a being real basis, you know, not everybody likes the way that somebody teaches. Somebody prefers somebody else, and we're trying to give, you know, alternatives here. You know, like somebody that really doesn't like Seth might like you, or that doesn't like you
don't
might
tell
like
Seth.
Gavin. or or they might not like Gavin, likes Mark. I mean, everybody
Oh, everybody
has,
loves Kevin.
well, everybody loves Gavin, but besides that, I think
Otherwise, we all have.
otherwise, you know, you have choices, and hopefully that's something that we want to bring to you guys, you know, like to the audience, that um that you're going to have alternatives, and somebody that you I think we were talking about this actually, because we sometimes put up polls and stuff, um to put up a poll is like, which Adorama host are you, or identify with, you know, like kind of like one of those like Facebook tests where it's like, because yeah, some people were like, oh yeah, I'm totally a Daniel, or I am totally a Gavin or a Mark, you know, like I connect to that host, or identify with, you know, like Vanessa and the way she shoots, or the way she, you know, interacts with the audience, or their personality. Like there's always somebody you can attach yourself to, you know, from an audience point of view. Um, so yeah, that's our usually our methodology. I mean, we could easily just have, you know, one person do all these things, and you know, sometimes we have Seth do that, um but I think there is inherent value, not only in the knowledge base that all of you, you know, bring to the channel, from, you know, life experience to specialities, because, you know, some of you have done stuff that the other one hasn't, and vice versa, but also, you know, on the personality level, you know, some people identify with more with like a mellow host, and some people identify more with like a, like, you know, strict, very precise host, and they're both valid.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. And I mean, I find that when I watch, YouTube channels, like there'll be channels that are really popular that I'm just not enjoying the way the host presents it, even though it's probably good content. It's just not for me. So having a mix is always good because you can be like, oh yeah, I like the way this person explains things, or their voice, or whatever, or to look at them. I guess so on some level, maybe people care about that. Um, I get a lot of that. People like to look at me.
Oh boy. But no, I see Michael Brown commenting like, also they have to be engaging and confident when talking in front of the camera. A
Yeah.
100%. And that's something that I always tell. And I think I told you guys in the last meeting that we have, like, it really is a talent to not only be able to have all this knowledge base of like fucking watts per second, and like anything and subject wise, that, you know, that you already know, and on the almost encyclopedia level, but then over to be able to be charismatic in your own way and be able to present the information. Not anybody can do that, even though we do have a bunch of hosts that can. Like, I'm always looking for somebody that's able to, because not only do we have our regular hosts like you guys, but sometimes we have like new product announcements, or sometimes we have you know, like product overviews that we try to include, or even like, you know, short running series, you know, like not everybody can actually pull off both, of being able to be charismatic, engaging, and deliver the information, but actually have the knowledge base to back it up, not just, you know, spurting out words just because. So I mean, I think that's important.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right too. And it's weird because there's a lot of people that like I would see and I'd be like, wow, these guys are like great, sources of knowledge. Like if you're just talking to them, but they would not be good, let's say, producing a video. And there's people that produce videos that what they say is absolutely not true either, and they have huge followings because it's like they're just very good at
Yeah.
producing the video. Having that mix in the middle is tricky. Um, but I think it just comes from right. You need to just if you are, like I say this all the time, like I photograph people, so I generally am pretty good talking to people. I just treat it just like that. I try, I'm me. I'm confident in what I do. So, that hopefully that comes across without being arrogant.
Yeah.
Although Seth says that I have a big ego all the time. So I don't know.
Well, you can have a big ego and not be arrogant.
I don't know why
The ego is the inside part. It's your alternative, you know, which is why they call it, you know, the alter ego as well, because it's just basically how you feel inside. Maybe you don't display it, but you might have a big ego. You might think very highly of yourself, that doesn't mean that you fall in arrogance. It could still go to confidence.
Yeah, I think that's the edge, right? That's the you need to tamper it, because the thing is, you shouldn't feel. I actually made a video about this, but where like a lot of times people will, and I mean, Seth's just messing with me, so I don't mean this about him, but
Mostly.
like people will try to bring you down by saying that you're like arrogant or whatever, because they are not creative, or they feel threatened by your creativity, and if you have something to say, you should say it. You don't need to feel like somebody tells you, because you'll get it. You always start a channel, you're going to get lots and lots of comments from people that are going to tell you that that what you're doing is wrong, and that you're stupid, or that you shouldn't be doing this. You don't know what you're talking about, and that's, you really have to have a certain level of being like, okay, I'm pretty confident in myself that I can have, these people do this, because people will attack you, and it's very weird to me, but they like to do that.
We get it all the time, where it's like, are you sure this piece of information is accurate and stuff? And it's like, we vet everything we can, and obviously we even vet, to a certain extent, vet you guys, to just make sure that we're always good. We're always trying to deliver good information, valid information. If something changes, because that's one thing, with time, maybe a piece of information you delivered 5 years ago is not going to be as accurate as what you can deliver right now. So there's that aspect. But even past that, if there were to be a mistake where something we passed by the goalie and we didn't catch it, like, we always try to fix it. We always try to annotate it. I think that we keeping a level of credibility is very, very important to us. Keeping a standard is very, very important to us, and hopefully we can deliver that on a weekly basis.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody can goof up or make a mistake or say something wrong or whatever. It happens. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's when people are consistently doing it, I think, that you got to watch out for it. And in that realm, I think you guys do a great job of making sure that everybody that's on there knows what they're talking about.
100%. We try.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it can happen. It's like you don't know. But yeah, I think that's one of the most important things about this kind of thing, because it's great to get out there and say things and express your feelings or whatever you might think. But if you're presenting yourself as an expert or as a teacher, you just need to make sure that what the information you're giving is as accurate as possible.
No,
even 100%. If people don't always hear everything you say, like I. And and just because I have these moods sometimes where like I just want to because I don't know, I don't want to call it frustrating, but like I'll like look and I'll literally see questions that I answer very clearly if they actually watch the video, and I want to just sometimes like pull these questions out and then answer them by putting the links to the minutes in the video that I say it, because I think people see things and then they just like they miss something and then they're quick to write a comment and be like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I did say that. I said it right here. Like you didn't, So I think that does happen sometimes. And then people think that you're not saying things, but you are. And that's the other place where you get like a lot of kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that people reading it or watching might miss something. So you can't also get mad at them, and then, so I certainly don't do that. I just think that it'd be a funny way to reply to comments. Be like, here it is. There it is.
Yeah, no, and everything can be misconstrued as well. So we always try to just be like as courteous, and I would try to understand. I always try to put myself in the shoes of the audience and try to understand. It's like, oh well, maybe they didn't understand this because of this, or maybe they didn't get that, or maybe the way I always try to blame myself. It's like, well, maybe the way I explained it wasn't as precise as it could have been, and so on.
Yeah. I mean, we can all make mistakes. On that, I'm gonna put. So I was saying this before we started, because maybe somebody watching will know. So I'm gonna ask. I don't know that you would know, because I don't think you don't really use OBS, right? So I'm using OBS.
Much, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you probably need to ask. So, I mean, I should just Google it, but it happened literally right before we went on there. So I was like, oh, so I've got my Zoom H4. I have two of these, by the way. These are great. They don't make them anymore. There's a replacement now, which is actually better, I think. I think the top comes off, if I'm not mistaken. Like the 6.
For the 5. Yeah, the 5, the top comes up, and the 6 as well.
Yeah, so you can put more XLRs, because this is actually a pretty decent mic here, but I almost never use it. But what's weird is, so I used it as USB interface instead of just plugging it like out. Mm-hmm. So the way my audio is set up now is I've got my microphone, this guy here, because it needs phantom power. So it's going into my other Zoom recorder, and then I'm doing the mic / line out into my Nikon, which is then going into the computer via HDMI, which is how I'm getting sound. It goes through. So I thought, well, I can use the USB interface because it has a USB interface,
Mhm.
and basically turn this mic into a USB mic. So I did it, and I like did a quick recording, and for some reason, I sound like I've like sucked too much helium, or I'm one of the chipmunks. It's super high pitched, and I have no idea why. So I'm like, well, maybe there's a setting in the Zoom that I have some kind of thing on it. So I recorded directly to the card, and I sound fine. So I don't know why that would
You
do that.
did both though? Like, did you record to the card as you were transmitting to the computer? Because I would try
You
that
can't
first.
do that
Got it.
because when you put it as a USB interface, you can't record you one or
The
the other.
signal just goes out.
Yeah, so I just stopped the USB interface part and then recorded to the card and then listened back. So I don't know. I mean, it's weird, right? Weird stuff like that
Yeah.
happens though, and you're just like,
Always.
I don't know.
The
So if
worst
somebody
is when it
uses
happens
OBS
in the middle of a demo,
exactly. Yeah, these
which
things happen.
happens.
So
Yeah.
the reason why I'm doing this, if people are curious, is because so my niece she started like a YouTube vlog show, whatever, blah blah. And she's like, she wants to do like a concert, so she's gonna have everybody sing a song, whatever. So I'm like, well, I'll record a song. So in order to have my guitar on a separate channel, because if you use the system I have now, my guitar is on the same channel. I thought, anyways, the guitar would be on the same channel as my voice, and then I can't adjust the sound. But I figured out how to do that without having to do this. But I just thought that was a weird quirk. Because it's each section's mono. But the reason why I was doing it is because I had the mono mix on. So once I turned that off, I could record two separate channels on OBS. So I don't really need it anymore. But I was just curious about the high pitched voice thing. I mean, maybe that's good. I should do that when I want to do like a backup singer stuff.
Like a high pitched backup singer.
Because it wasn't sped up; it was just high. That's what was weird about it. Like it wasn't like I was having this. It was like
changing a pitch setting almost.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I was on American Idol, I'd be like, that was a little pitchy there, Daniel. That was a little pitchy. Oh man, okay, so let's see what's happening here in the comments. I'm super slow at reading, so I always have to. Oh yes. Oh yeah. You know who I haven't It's funny you mentioned Pauline. I haven't talked to her in a little bit. She's so nice.
Ever heard about firmware and?
I have no idea what this means, so I'm just gonna. If I don't know what your comment means, I am going to hide it. Have you heard about firmware and incomplete testing by manufacturers? It happens. Oh, now this. I mean, maybe, but this is things like. I don't even know if this has firmware. It's that old.
I believe it does though.
Yeah, I mean, this has been discontinued for like I don't know 4 or 5 years at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I doubt there's any new firmware for it, but that's just really, and also I've used it in exactly the way I'm describing in GarageBand and it works totally fine. Although I haven't tested it just now, but I've done it in the past. So I thought maybe if it was something to do with OBS, but I guess it could be an OBS setting. OBS is like a whole different world for me. Seth like lives in OBS. I only
now he lives on OBS, which is hilarious. Again, being a hardcore photo guy and now getting into broadcast. Now, I mean, I know like the most surface level OBS. So he knows more broadcasting through OBS than me, which is funny. But yeah, no, he's all about that. I haven't played enough with it to say I even know how to use it properly.
Well, I think what's interesting about that too is that there's a big difference. Well, there's a huge range, just like in photography and filmmaking. Being like live broadcasting with switchers and stuff is a totally different thing than shooting a feature or shooting whatever. So it's like just because you're a filmmaker doesn't mean you know every aspect, just like every photographer doesn't know every aspect.
Agreed.
But I think what's really cool about Seth, don't let him watch this if I'm saying something good to say.
Oh boy.
He took that position at Adorama with gusto. I mean, he had no background in this at all. And he learned audio and he learned the video setup and the switchers in that event space and made it really, really good. I mean, with no background really.
100%. Like he took it to the next level. I mean, it just went from, basically a jobber to him coming in and being able to elevate the space and being able to make it his. I mean, he wore that space with in his sleeves and in the heart of his sleeve, like you say. He killed it. I mean, the thing with him is that he always gives 110%. He always, works so hard. And, I'll appreciate that. I always say that of certain people that, there's people that are just like completely naturally talented at something. And then there's the people that work so hard to get to that same place. Lucky for Seth, he has both, but I will always take the guy that will work harder than, that the guy that's just naturally talented, that might want to take shortcuts here and there. Um, he always works so hard. He always makes the joke, and it's true. Like we might have like a new product announcement that we need to pump out in a couple of days, and we always get to the office, and I make a face like man, and he's like, it's like, what is it? It's like, we need to go shoot this, and you can't ask any questions. And he's like, let's go. Like always. So like he's always ride or die, and again, you always want to take that person. If you had to pick between hard work and just immense talent, I always pick hard work. Those people have never failed me. And like I said, lucky enough, Seth has both. So we're lucky to have him in the team for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think too that's a great example to people who even though he bitches about young people in presets, but people who bitch about young people in presets and stuff, where they're just it's like, you to really succeed in this, you gotta put your whole self into it, and he does. He's a great example of that. He took something that he needed, to take this position. He wanted it or whatever. I'm not going to get against his personal life, but he needed the position. He came in with very, very little knowledge, but we knew he was a hard worker, and he friggin' made it happen with no background. I mean, really in that, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was just thinking when you said that I remember once this was a long time ago. I was working at Reebok. So I was actually still just out of college, and I was leaving to become a photographer, and I was asked to recommend a guy to take my place, and so I recommended this guy, and they're like, well, why would you recommend him? He doesn't really have a background, this, whatever. And I said, well, because I know he cares and that he will put everything in him to learn it as fast as possible. And I think that's much more valuable than somebody that just has a couple of years experience, because I know this guy will kill it. And he did actually get the job. He killed it. So it's like somebody like that is so much more valuable than somebody that just kind of has a little knowledge. It's like somebody will just come and do it. And, that's what we have to do as photographers all the time.
100%. Don Edwick, yes, I do speak Spanish.
Oh, should we do the second half of this in Spanish?
Vamos a hablar español toda la siguiente mitad.
Mira.
¿Qué miro, güey?
Otra ropa.
Otra ropa. Oh,
I mean,
boy.
This is my Spanish.
That's your Spanish. And that's the end of that. All right, let's keep it in English.
Actually, there was, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, not going to get into because you probably don't have an answer, so I'm not going to put you on the spot, but there was an attempt to do some Spanish stuff on AdoramaTV, and it's still there from Elaine Torres, and I think it's really great. I mean, I can't understand it.
Not only an attempt, we did a limited series, remember?
What's I mean, an attempt to like make a full,
Yeah. You found her, actually.
I did actually.
And she's a very talented photographer, and we tried for this like small series to try and see how Spanish speaking content would work within the channel. It's difficult only because you would have to have duplicate content between a Spanish version and an English version, and then the audience can get confused of like, oh wait, they already watched this, oh no wait, this is the Spanish version, even though everything's marked, and we try our best to keep it as organized as we can. There was a good amount of backlash on having Spanish content within the channel, and a good amount of people thought that it deserved or should be in its own different channel, and I don't completely disagree. I mean, the thing with YouTube, as we know, is everything is tailor-made. I mean, the fact that our channel is doing as well as it is, given the amount of different people we have on it, is actually a credit to all of you guys, where you are able to keep an audience interested, because everybody wants just one channel, one person, because this is the person I want to follow, and if I don't want to follow these other people, then I don't want to, or I don't have to. But because you guys make it a community, because you interact with each other, because it's you guys not only are presenting yourselves, but you're presenting Adorama as well, that I think we make it work, and we make it, you know, as good as it can be. Um, Versus, you know, some people just want, you know, oh, I just want this one channel to give me this content, whether it be in English and Spanish or whatever. I want this channel for this purpose, and that's it. And if I don't want to follow this channel, I don't have to follow this channel. You know, everything's a la carte, if you will, is the term.
Yeah. And I think that's super interesting. So that ties in, right? So people might not understand too, is that like the way YouTube work with algorithms and stuff, right? So that if you, it's tricky to maintain a channel that has too much diversity, because if people don't watch enough of your videos, they won't get suggested to them anymore. So like if you did
Yes.
3 different languages, let's say, and they watch the English one but not the other 2, then they might not even get the next English language suggested to them, because they didn't watch the last 2 videos put up by that channel.
Yeah,
So
it's tricky.
yeah,
It's tricky to it's trickier than a lot of people think. Like the amount of hoops we need to jump just to get it in front of you, just not to see if you're going to watch it or not, just to get it in front of you and give you the option to watch a video that we've, you know, produced and put out there, just to put it in front of you to maybe have you consider it watching it. We have to jump a lot of hoops in terms of, like, you know, algorithm, and then it's always changing as well, like the way that, you know, YouTube works and social media in general works. We finally start learning how to master it. Boop, now you got to do it differently. Now you got to jump these other hoops that you didn't have to jump before, and you got to funnel through this other thing to try to have the exact same results that you did before. So it is an ongoing thing. It's not even trying to compare myself to like the medical practice, but in a way it's like that. Like you don't, you know, you don't, like, you practice at this, you're always changing, you're always evolving, you always have to learn like what's the next little thing. And like what changed, you have to be aware of, like what might have changed that you weren't even aware of, and stuff like there's so many little, you know, things that always are constantly evolving that you just need to be attuned with.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I do say perfecto, but that's actually Italian.
It's also Spanish.
I know, but
Perfecto.
when I say it, I'm speaking
Oh, when
Italian.
you say it
It
in
makes it
Italian.
makes me more more multilingual
You
if I
don't
have
say it.
multiple languages.
You don't say it in Spanish. You say it in Italian.
So I say perfecto in Italian. That makes, you know, when I say like bonita or something, that's Spanish. But
How do you say no? In what language do you say no?
I say no like this. No, actually, I never say no. That's probably my problem. Always yes, but
See.
yeah, no, that's true. I should say perfecto a lot. That's the one remnant of me living in Miami for so long, I think.
Right. How long were you in Miami?
Oh, 6 years. I guess it doesn't feel like a long time now because I've been in New York longer, but it was.
It also like to me, you're so New Yorker that, like, I know you're from Boston or from the Massachusetts area, but like to me, you feel way more New York than Miami, which is weird.
I didn't really fit in. I mean, and
I believe that.
Well, because I think, well, first of all, I burn really easily. I am Irish, so
You are Irish, yes.
I am very Irish. So, yeah, I mean, I would wear long pants. I mean, but the thing is, like, the things that I generally enjoy doing weren't things that you normally do in my. Like, I like to go out to like a small bar and listen to live music or something like that. That's not really the Miami scene, or it wasn't when I was there. It was more clubs, you know, and like spending the day on the beach and drinking giant, you know, margaritas and stuff, which I like
green
on
speedos.
occasion, but it's not my normal, you know, vibe. So it may have changed now. I haven't been there in a long time, but I will say though, it was amazing, and I only plan on spending 2 years at max, and then 6 years later, I was like, oh man, I probably should move on. Because it's such easy living. It's like relatively inexpensive. The weather's always nice. You know, it's very predictable. There was a decent amount of work, well, for what I was doing, which was production. For a shooter, not so much.
You like catch yourself, and it's like time has passed, and you're like, oh, I got too comfortable here.
Yeah, it happens. You know,
yeah, it happens. I mean, I could say the same thing. I'm originally from well, I say I was born in Texas but raised in Mexico. So Spanish is my first language done. Um, but yeah, and once I finished college in Texas, it could have just been super easy living for me. I mean, in the way of like just, you get a job or you get a just, something normal, maybe a TV station or something. And I mean, boring as hell as far as I'm concerned, but you could have earned a living. I could have been totally fine over there. But, but, you know, calmer heads prevailed, and I was too bored. So I was like, no, let's get out of here.
No, it's actually interesting you say that because I had a very similar thing. Like when I left college, one of the things I say sometimes is like I literally went. Somebody asked me to do a photo shoot because they knew I went to school for photography,
Mhm.
and because I had settled into a really good job, and I pulled my cameras out, and I just kind of thought about it. I'm like, when was the last time I pulled these out? It had been like almost a year. Like I went almost an entire year without taking a picture, and I
Oh
was like,
wow.
what happened to the kid that wanted to be a photographer? It's like
Yeah.
instead I have money, so like I have a new car and I can spend it, and I'm just like I'm very comfortable. And I was like, no, I will never leave if I don't do it now. So that's when I made my plan to leave. I was like, nope, gotta move on because it'll be way too comfortable, you know. So
It
yeah,
takes a little bit. It takes a little bit, and I guess we were lucky to identify that point,
yeah.
because for some people it's either too early or too late. For them to actually be able to jump out of it, out of their comfort zone. So I mean, it's cool that you were able to identify that, and you took the shot when you had it.
No, it's true. I mean, I always say it's never too late, but it does definitely get harder the more you have. You have much more to lose when you're older. You know,
100%.
as much as you might be nervous when you're like 25, like I mean, assuming that you have a decent family structure, worst case scenario, you move back in with your parents for 6 months. You know, it's like you got somebody there. It's like once you're old and you have a house and you have a car and you're married, you have kids or whatever, it becomes much more difficult to
Yeah.
just take all the risk. You know, I figured if I spend every cent I have, I will just make more money. I got plenty of life left, you know. But the older you get, it's like, oh, I really wanted to lose my house, you know. So yeah, it becomes a lot trickier to just like say, boom, I'm doing it. So
Yeah.
I mean, luckily you can do things, you know, whether it be you know, well, I guess maybe it might be harder for filmmakers, but you maybe could take your 2 weeks vacation a year and shoot a short film or something, you know, and spend the rest of the year
Yeah.
editing or something like that. If it's
Yeah.
something
I
you
mean,
really want to do.
yeah, it's 100%. And again, there's always going to be excuses, but I mean, one of the first things I learned as soon as I started shooting, because I wasn't going to go into filmmaking. Actually, I was going to go into systems engineering,
Oh,
and then I would have been so miserable right now. Um, but but yeah, like it was one of those things where you learn real quick that you started identifying who actually wants to do this, because when you have no money to do stuff and you just want to do it for the passion and just because you want to see a final product come out and you want to be able to create something, and obviously in filmmaking it's a collaborative medium, so you have to work with other people to a certain extent, like you can double up on hats, but you only have so many hats you can wear. So you start working with other people, and you immediately identify who actually is here for the right reasons, who actually wants to do this. When it's 3 in the morning, it's cold, it's dark, you're in the middle of a scene and your actor is like putting out the piece of dialogue and nobody has slept. If you're still fine with, even if you're hurting, but you're still fine and happy to be there, then you're good. Just keep trucking. There's other people that will always like bail on you, that just weren't there because they didn't want to be there. They didn't really care enough. That wasn't for them. And that's totally fine. And hopefully they discover that, sooner rather than later. Um, but but you have those moments, you have those experiences, and then you start, pinpointing your fellow creators that are in it with you and are there with you at 3 a.m. and they're happy to be there, not just like, bearing through it because, if you're in college because you need that college credit, or just, because like, that's the thing, when you're not getting paid or when you're not getting anything from it besides the satisfaction of creating something, that's when you know that this is like either meant for you or not. And you start
it's
aligning with it, with those people that do, and not so much with those people that don't.
Yeah, and it's such a tricky thing, right? Because there's this weird like mid ground too, where people will take advantage of you,
Mm-hmm.
which is because like I always say, try to pay people if you can, but at the same time, because I've talked about this when I talk about models, like I don't shoot really often. First of all, I only pay models if it's a job because I'm getting paid, right? But I usually use models for jobs that I've worked with for free, because I want people that want to work with me. And I know that if a model comes out of her way and poses for me to create some art, then I know they want to shoot with me. And then I'll always, take them out or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a cheapskate, but at the same time, I don't want to work for somebody that just wants to do it for money, no matter how good they are, because then I know that they're only there for the money. And that's just something I don't want, ever. So, I mean, it's different. Of course, I'm in a much better position to make that decision now. When I was doing commercial photography, it was a whole different thing. It was, you hire models, they come on set, you pay them, it's the whole thing. But like now I'm creating. So like, I want to work with people that want to work with me, not ones that are just like, oh, you know what, you're paying me by the hour and I need an extra money. It's like, okay, then I don't want to really work with you. I want to work with people that want to work.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Patty Mattis.
Hey, Patty.
What cameras do I have? Well, right now I'm mainly a Fuji shooter. I used to be Sony, but now I'm Fuji. I always loved Fuji in terms of like photography. Right now I feel they are putting out a good enough cameras to help me on the video aspect as well. So right now I'm doing both with them. Right now I have the XT3 and the XT4, but I don't own it. But I would probably, if I had just like one camera to just go on and shoot, it'd probably be the X100V. Great little camera. I know Daniel has the F.
Yeah, I think that's the one I have. It's like the second one or the third one or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not the newest one.
It's funny because like I want to say like half of the Adorama peeps, have like that specific camera, and it's just by chance I haven't picked it up, but yeah, I would probably pick the X100V to just not worry about it, because again, especially with I know it's because I know I can hear Seth in the background like arguing right now with me, but. And it's like, I know you guys, it's complicated for you guys in terms of like photography and all the settings and all the buttons and stuff like that. I feel there's a lot more buttons on a video camera and a lot of like other little things to consider. It's not a competition. I'm just putting it out there. But because of that, I want a camera that I don't have to worry anything about. I don't want to change the lens. Like if I'm just doing it for enjoyment. If I'm doing it for a project, yes, give me all the tools, give me all the lenses, give me all the sliders, all the gimbals, all the everything that I'm going to need for that project. But if I'm just doing it for my own personal enjoyment, I don't want interchangeable lenses. I just want one simple piece of good, reliable, comfortable, grabbable piece of equipment that you're comfortable just having it in your hand and like just shoot away and like find a way to make good photos out of it. And I feel the X100 series is a good balance between having really good tools like the ND filter or a leaf shutter or a bunch of like other little features that it has, but still not compromising on it's very easy to use. You could just grab it, go have fun. You don't have to worry about what lens you're going to pick here and there. It's overall a fun going out shooting experience.
Yeah, one thing that's great about a camera like that too, simple cameras, is that when you're traveling, if you want to hand it to somebody to take a picture of you, this I've learned because I usually bring my Leica, which is not complicated by any means, but you got to focus it. So like handing that to somebody, trying to explain to them. What's great about those Fujis is you have that same small feel, but you can just throw it in automatic mode and just hand it to somebody and they can get a picture. And
yeah, no, it's like, again, I think it's the best travel camera in my opinion and experience. But again, a camera is a tool at the end of the day. Like a camera is whatever you need it to be. And if one doesn't fit, the other one will, and it's all about like taste. It's all about what you feel comfortable with, and end product as well. There's a lot of really good cameras out there for all sorts of time. That would probably just be like the quick grab and go camera that I would personally pick.
No, I agree with that. I could probably do like a lot of what I do with that camera. In fact, I sometimes just break out and just use it because I don't mind shooting a bit of a wide angle portrait. I actually like it better. So for me, those cameras are fantastic. But you're right though. Each one's a tool, right? Like I got this thing, right? This is the Osmo Pocket. and it's awesome. And when the original thing I bought it for was to bring around for me on trips and stuff. I don't use it for that. I don't like it. And the reason why is because I, I like it as a video camera, and I like it for like BTS and stuff like that on my shoots, and it's worked out amazing for that. But like I personally, I'm not going to go home and edit video. I guess I thought I would. So I went and did all these like time lapses and cool stuff when I traveled, and I'm like, I'm never looking at this. So like you got to pick your camera based on what you're ultimately going to do with it. So
Yeah.
I think like that little Fuji is great because you'll shoot scenery shots, you'll shoot fun snapshots, you can use it in low light. So yeah, I like those cameras are great. So I agree with you. That's
That
fantastic.
Osmo we took to Tokyo, and that was like our main B-roll camera, and
Yeah.
it's freaking amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, for our deliverables are nothing, are, you know, everything's going to the web. The majority of the stuff are going to the YouTube or embedded on a site or something like that. Where I mean, I don't need, you know, that every single shot of my production is a high end big gimbal, you know, on a Ronin or something like that, or Steadicam even. Crazy production shoot that, like, that guy like helped us so much just to be able to, like, we're on a bus from A to B and we need just a couple of moving shots. That's it. You know, you're getting it. And getting it is better than not, just hands down. Like, I'd rather take a shot that's there than oh, but see, if I would have had this gimbal, it's like, no, the audience doesn't see that. It's whatever you're able to show to the audience. Everything else does not exist. There's no excuses. You know, by the time somebody sees a project, it's not about like, oh, it could have been so much better, because you're not going to be sitting next to every person that watches a video to explain to them why it could have been so much better. So, you know, every tool you can, just try to use it in the best possible moment.
Yeah.
Liam McKenna. I've been trying to do photography for some web series. Would love to get paid and get into professional productions of any kind. Well, as Daniel would probably be the first one to tell you, you need to shoot a lot, enough to where two things happen. One, you meet enough people that are going to start having you on all the new sets that they go on to, because they're going to keep going with their careers, and hopefully, you know, you befriend them, and they bring you along for the ride for theirs as well, and then you start making more connections, and that keeps growing. And two, you got something to show for it. You know, you need to try to work your best and try to, you know, expand your portfolio as best as you can, because I mean, when I'm hiring people, I'm always thinking, yeah, you graduated from what? I don't care. What do you have? What have you shot? Like, I want to have a palpable, you know, a scene if you're a director, a reel if you're a DP, or even a gaffer. I want to see what you're able to accomplish. Um, you know, like, show me a sculpture that you've made. You know, that's more important than what school you learned to make that sculpture in. You know, like, I want to see a final product. So I think that's related to this as well. You know, I want to see you shoot so much that you can show me a good variety of stuff that you've shot from these webs, from, you know, this web series in this case, or hopefully you can get into, you know, short films and then features, etc. um, so the more variety you have, and you don't have to go crazy, but just, I want to see like different types of work from you. And then on the other side, like I said, you know, it's all about who you know. And the who you know, it's not even about like, oh, I know people in high places. It's more like friends, you know, the friends you make on set. Like, I still work with people that I met literally the first week or two that I arrived in New York, like almost 8 years ago. You know, it just happened. It was like an NYU set. I didn't know anybody. And just because my cousin knew a guy, and the guy knew this other guy, that they needed an AC, an assistant camera for a NYU grad film. And I had just gotten here, and I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything. So it was like, hell yeah. It's like, well, you have to work for free. I'm like, that's what I expected. Like, don't worry about that. So then after that, like, I met a bunch of people, a bunch of like NYU grads from that project. They carried me on to other projects, like, and then eventually, you know, those people started working more, and then I started working with them, and then you start getting paid. It really is about the friends you make. I know they always say like it's all about who you know, but I would put it as, it's all about the friends you make. because those are the people you want to work with. Again, just like we said about the hardworking piece one, I mean, work with a, I would rather hire somebody I'm comfortable working with and I'm friends with than somebody that might have like might be a pain in the ass and might have a big ego, even though they're great at what they do. I mean, everybody would just wants to enjoy what they do and create as much content as you can. Eventually here in New York, you might be able to like go into a union. If you start, you know, working your rounds around that, and if that's another road, because you could always go union or non-union. It really depends what you want to do, and there is like the photographers union as well, that you know you can become a union photographer to go and shoot BTS on sets and stuff. But yeah, like work more, make friends. We need a shirt and give it to Seth to promote it.
That's a good shirt. Yeah, I like that. No, it's 100% true. You need to be around people that are doing the thing that you do, and you need to show your work to the people that can hire you. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds like super like over the top, but like that's it. I mean, that's, you know, you can you condense that down to whatever your field is. You know, if you I've done plenty of stills on film sets. Oftentimes, you know, they're for um, like NYU, these like bigger colleges, they have actually bigger sets, which means they have money. You know, so sometimes you can make money doing that. But yeah, you want to show that stuff. And also, what I found when I get hired on jobs like that, especially, oftentimes somebody will reach out and be like, "Hey, you're a photographer," and you start talking to them. And what you want is this like, not just a portfolio to show them, but a, we'll call it a portfolio of stories, right? Like when you sit down and start talking to somebody that's been around and has some experience, you know that they're going to be good because like they just start talking to you about, oh yeah, I was on this. Oh, you're going to have a raining scene. Okay, yeah, I did that once in this. So you need to, you know, you're going to do this. Oh yeah, we did this once. And then they start understanding that you've been on film sets because you'll be like, oh yeah, I worked on the set and they had this car mount and it was really cool and it was so they know, okay, he's been around. It's not just like he has a few snapshots that look decent and you know. So I think that's part of it. Like your personality and who you talk to and the friends you have and stuff will get you a lot more work even than just your portfolio. Like the portfolio gets you like in the door,
Yeah.
but most people get hired based on that kind of talking to the person because you know films might last months. You know, even a short film that I've been on short films that were like 2 weeks long. I mean, that's, you know, they don't want to work with somebody they don't like. You know,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, no, it's as simple as that. Michael Brown, does luck come into it? 100%. 100% that it can affect it, you know, like I said, you know, I was here my first week. I could have been here a month or two and maybe nothing would have happened. I just happened to visit my cousin who was already living in New York. He was doing I forget if stand up or improv or something. If I would have not visited him that week, maybe I wouldn't have started to get to you know to work with you know these people as early as I did. Maybe it would have been the same, but it would have taken longer to get in there. At the end of the day, it's one of those things you just got to keep chipping at it. You know, like start you know try to work as much as possible. And obviously, I never want to promote that it's like, oh, everybody should work for free. But if you have nothing to show, then that's if anything, you're the one gaining something. If you have nothing, if you've been like a photographer and you have portfolio and you've worked or whatever, yeah, don't work for free. I mean, your stuff is valuable, your experience is valuable, your end product is valuable. You know, to who and to where, that's a different argument, but there is inherent value in that. If you just been in a set or two and just done a project or two and you really don't have a portfolio, then you're the one that has more to gain out of this. You know, like
yeah.
if you have nothing to show, then you need to work to build that in order to add value to that. So in that regard, that's why I was completely happy to just get my hands dirty, and I can't even remember how many projects I worked for free while I was like getting started. And then it was just like, okay, then it's like, oh, I have this gig and it's not going to pay much, but whatever. It's like, yeah, sure, you say yes just like you said yes to everything else. I mean, if obviously it's hard to you need to earn a living and everything, then that's where you have your part-time job that is going to be paying barely, even if it's barely, for your life expenses. So the rest of the time you can create and you can do what you want to do in order for that to become your first source of income. But there really is no excuses. I mean, there really, really isn't. I mean, I know a lot of people that go like, but I just got out of work and I'm tired and I don't want to do that. It's like, I get that, but then how much do you want it? Like how much do you really want this to be your first source of income and your main goal versus, not, and push will come to shove at the end of the day. And if it's something you really didn't want as much, then it just won't, you just won't get there. And some people, yeah, will 100% just get lucky and without having to suffer the same amount of slings and arrows, what's the Shakespeare term, as other people. But everybody has their own journey. Everybody's gonna have like a different luck, and at the end of the day, if it's something you want, you'll be involved in it in some way, shape, or form. Maybe, I mean, I didn't think I would end up exactly where I am, and I love my position, I love my job, and I love what we do and we create in the community that we're building. But it wasn't like, oh, I want to be this, like sometimes yeah, exactly. I want to be senior content producer for a camera store in New York City. Like at first, like when I graduated college, I didn't even know if I wanted to do LA or New York. I mean, you never know. I could have flipped the other way and I would have ended on a different coast. You really never know. But the only thing I knew is that this is what I wanted to do in one way, shape, or form. And you don't stop until technically you don't stop. I was going to say until you get there, but even when you get there, you don't really stop. You're just looking for the next thing in a different way, or how to make it better if you're already there. I mean, yeah, I think there's no excuses to that, to just, if this is what you want, you can be involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and there is no there, right? That's really the thing.
That's what, again, I got there, and then I was like, no, wait, no, there's still more than that. So there is no there. Yeah.
But I prescribe to that whole you make your own luck thing. And I mean, yes, it is true. Sometimes people just walk in the door at the right moment in time. But the reality is that you have to know enough to say yes to it and to make that. I mean, that's the luck, right? The luck is that you were in the right spot at the right time, but you were in that spot. That's you put yourself there. Like my first let's say it's a lot. My first like real, what I considered like a commercial job where I was shooting for a magazine, I literally got because I just said the right thing at the right time. And I was just like, but if I hadn't said it, like the guy called me and he was like, oh, you're looking to work as a photo assistant. And I said, well, actually, I really want to be a photographer. And he gave me a chance because he was also a his name was Bill Wax. I don't know if he's still around. Bill, if you're out there. He was a like he had a company that produced a magazine. Plus, he was also a photographer, and he was doing this one job. He's like, "Oh, well, you're a photographer. Okay, let me give you a chance doing this for this magazine." And like literally, I got hired for the assistant job, and first I assisted for him. Then he got me photography work from it. And if I hadn't opened my mouth, so it's like, yeah, I was lucky, but at the same time, like it was because I said something. How many people assisted for him and never said, "Hey, I want to shoot." Yeah. I just said it to the right person. That's how you got to do it.
And a lot of people wouldn't have said that. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't want to threaten the photographer." So yeah, no, I want to assist. I want to be an assistant. But that's what you wanted. You were straightforward, and like you said, there was a combination of luck and you taking that opportunity of just being straight up honest and just being like, "Yeah, this is what I want."
Yep. And there's plenty of photographers that if I had said that when I get called, they would have been like, okay, thanks then, and hung up because they weren't in the position to give me the break, so it's like, yeah, like it was a risky thing to do. And I did that and I got lucky, but I also could have been very unlucky too. It just kind of comes down to taking the chance, I guess. Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that I always found a little bit interesting in terms of like the photographer filmmaker world of like how not all of you, especially like you specifically have worked like more commercial and fashion, and I feel that's more collaborative than other photography.
Yeah.
But like some of my early experiences, and this is coming from small towns where it's more competitive in a way because there's less jobs, even though New York has like larger jobs, but there's more photographers, you would think it's more competitive, but there's also way more jobs than a small town. So like my first experiences in small town is that photographers very competitive with each other and very, secretive, and they don't want to share stuff. Like even to the point where I remember once I was in a theater production, and there was like a set photographer that was just taking like shots, whatever. I forget what camera he had at that moment or whatever. That might have been like the new camera that was like out and about at that time. But I'm like, oh, like that's I was like talking to him, and he was very friendly, and I was like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna take these and this and that or whatever. And it's like, oh, I see you have like the whatever so and so camera. Took a step back, and he was like, yeah, I do. It's like, oh yeah, no, because I have this other thing or whatever. And he immediately saw me as a threat, not even knowing that like I'm not a photographer. Like, yes, I'm
Right.
interested in cameras because I'm filmmaking, but like I don't really, I'm not a competent. But from then on, it was like a shift. And I was like, holy crap, why is it like that? Like I didn't experience that in filmmaking or theater. It just felt so alien to me. But then again, with more life experience and years behind it, I started, it's like, okay, well, not every photographer's like that, first of all.
Yeah, it's weird when I see that, and yeah, I guess like you say, because I came from a more commercial background, like everybody knew when you were a photo assistant that
Uh-huh.
you wanted to be a photographer. Like that's literally was the point of being a photo assistant. In
Yeah.
fact, there was articles near the end of me being a photo assistant where PDN was talking about how it was this weird new world where like people were becoming photo assistants to just be a photo assistant, and like there was never thought that way. Like you were a photo assistant to learn from photographers, and it was kind of like their obligation to teach you because you didn't get paid that much. You got paid crap, actually,
Yeah.
all things considered, and for the amount of work that you did. But the thing is, they knew you were going to be a photographer at some point. I mean, clearly, if you were on set and you were like trying to hit up their clients, you would never get hired again. I mean, that's what is what it is.
Yeah.
But
That's a little bit different, I feel. But yeah, I agree. Like, who does that?
yeah, like they all know that you're. In fact, I worked for photographers that were super cool, where they would be like, "Hey, listen, we finished early today, and we have the model to the end of the day. If you want to, do like a quick test shoot with the model, go ahead and ask her." I mean, clearly they couldn't just say you can do it; the model has to agree to it. And so I
Yeah.
got some of my first like agency level models in my portfolio, like literally at the end of days with photographers that I worked hard for, that were like, uh, that respected that I was going to be a photographer someday, that that's what I wanted to do, and that didn't feel threatened because they knew that I was professional. And was I lucky that I got to shoot those models that cost $5,000 a day? Hell yeah! But did I not make my own luck by being a great worker and like being trusted by the photographers? Yes, I did. So that's what I say about being lucky.
Yeah. 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, Liam, keep chucking on, man. Like that's the only thing we can do.
I don't know if it was hostile. I think it's who you were around. Like I never really, I mean, I did, and Seth will bring it up sometimes when we're talking about it, because I told him the story once of this photographer I assisted for that, like, he would not show anybody the Polaroids. Like, he literally would shoot a Polaroid and then like tear it up and put it away. And like later, it was actually for a magazine editorial. And later, when I saw the editorial, it was terrible. So clearly, it was because the Polaroid sucked. But it's also like if he had just shown me the Polaroid, because I was way better at lighting than he was. I mean, not to put my, tell my I worked for amazing photographers. That's how I got good at it. I wasn't naturally good at it. I worked for photographers that were crazy amazing at lighting, better than me, and even me now. And I learned. I watched and learned, and they taught me how to be a lighting photographer. And as an assistant, that made me valuable as an assistant, because if other people hired me, I could help them. That was my job, to help
Yeah.
them. But this one guy, he didn't want you to see it because I guess he thought he felt threatened. He was also kind of young, so there you go. And yeah, it was his. Too bad for him. It's
Yeah.
like I could have made his shots better because I clearly could see what he was trying to do, and he couldn't accomplish it because he didn't ask for help from me, because he felt threatened by the assistant. And those people never last very long.
I think
You've got
that
to work as yeah.
I think a lot of it is insecurities. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. I don't think it's, um, I mean, depending, because I'm pretty sure there will be people that will backstab you and will take advantage of situations. So they're on some level they're being careful, and on the other, like you said, they're being insecure about their capabilities as a photographer versus somebody else's capabilities as a photographer. But I mean, I think when you're in a team, like you all stand to benefit from it, and that's something you need to acknowledge. But you need a level of maturity to accept that that somebody might be better than you at a certain thing, and to be able to be graceful about it. And not everybody is. It's also not easy to be, I feel.
No, that's true. And there are certain I mean, on the other end of it, I remember very specifically when I stopped assisting. One day I was on a set, and I didn't care. Like I was like, I don't care if this shot comes out good. And that's not how you should be as a photo assistant. You should look at your job, no matter how much you're shooting. You could be shooting half the time and assisting half the time. When you're on the set as an assistant, you're the assistant. Your job is to make that photographer's shot awesome. You're just as responsible as everybody else. You need to work hard. And I was there and I didn't care because I cared about my own work. I was thinking about my own work. And I was like, I'm no longer an assistant. And I stopped doing it, even though it made me quite broke after that because I was making most of my money from assisting. And I knew assistants that didn't do that. And they would come and I'd be talking to them. They were still assisting and they shouldn't be because they weren't into it anymore. And they'd be complaining about photographers and how terrible they were and whatever. It's like, that's because you shouldn't be an assistant anymore. If you don't care about the production as if it's your own production, then you shouldn't be an assistant. And same thing for anybody on a set. Everybody should care as if it's their production because it is their production. It's a team.
It is.
Everybody there has a part to play.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it is, at least in my experience, like I've always, it is something that you get used to on a film set. It is something that, you know, everybody's important, and everybody, you want to make sure everybody feels welcome and everybody feels part of the cogs, you know, being cogs in the part of the machine. I mean, but yeah, it's something that you're always aware, and you just gotta, you know, keep trucking. Obviously, everybody wants to be a director, and everybody wants to be a DP, and everybody wants to be a producer. But at the end of the day, you know, you're still important, even if you're a small role. You're still important, and you're still earning that right to one day be those things that you want to try to achieve. You know, and you just need to, you know, keep working hard, and, you know, just don't lose sight of that. I mean, if you're happy being, I mean, I know people that are happy being assistants, and that's it, and that's all they want to be, and they enjoy that aspect of it, and that's completely valid as well. You know, and there's not much you can do than just, you know, keep working hard at it until you get to the point where you're happy, if you can get to the point where you're happy.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is that, right, you should always just try to be happy no matter where you are. Like, not happy meaning you don't want to move on, but happy like, okay, I'm doing something that I want to do. I'm in the industry, you know, I'm in the industry, and I'm doing it. So whether you're the photographer, the assistant, you're the DP, or you're a gaffer, or you're a grip, you know, you're on a set, you know, you're working. And actually, what I did find on film sets, which I thought was hilarious, because I didn't realize it until like I was on an actual film set a few times, was how divided jobs are. And people do feel like their job is very important, and they don't want you doing their job.
Yeah,
I can tell you that right now, because as a photo assistant, you do everything. So my first times on the set, I was like, you know, I'd see somebody like setting up a light, and I'd be like, go over and grab a sandbag for him. No. That's not your job. You know, there's a sandbag guy that does that. It's like, you're the stills photographer, go stand over there, you know? So I did think that was really interesting. So it does actually help you to see that your job is important, because without you moving the sandbags, there'd be no sandbag. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's divided, and it's divided for, you know, political union reasons sometimes. But you're right about that. It does encourage you to truly believe in your job and your section of the team, even though it is a big team. You still have your team within the team, and be able to, you know, pull off that everything that's needed. You know, you are integral to you are a member of this unit. So you know, everybody's work is important.
Yeah, every job is super important. There was this, I'm going to tell a joke. I don't usually do this.
Oh boy.
But I just thought of it because I thought it was hilarious that it just came up in my mind. So, you know, these people are, they drive down the same highway every day. And, you know, one day they're driving to work, and they see these workers out there, and they're digging holes. And they dig all these holes along the side of the highway. And then, you know, for whatever the day. And then the next day they're driving in, they see holes in the side of the highway, and they're just like, huh, whatever. And so the third day they drive, and there's people filling the holes in. So, you know, the driver stops, and they turn, and they say, whoa, what did you guys do there? And they said, oh yeah, well, the guys that plant the trees took the day off. You know, because it like wasn't their job to plant the trees. Their job was to, so you have to look at the big picture. Like, don't just think you're the guy that digs a hole and fills it in. If the guy that's supposed to plant the trees isn't there, know that like you can't just fill in your holes. Like, everybody has to work together as a team, right?
100%.
I probably didn't tell that very good. I shouldn't tell jokes anymore. That was a test. We're never going to do that again. I think I did it too fast. Oh wow. Wow. Funny, huh? Tony Morano super chatted me. Thanks. I can super chat now, by the way. You don't have to give me money, but Thanks for giving an insight. You've helped me. Oh, well, thank you. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. Actually, well, we'll talk off because I don't want to commit Adorama or anything. Sure. But I activated it for a reason because I want to do it for a charity thing. But anyways, yeah, I forgot what we were saying because I got distracted by my terrible joke. This is why I don't tell jokes on set.
Cogs in the machine. Everybody's job is important.
Yeah, everybody's job's important. So, like the guy that plants the tree, if he doesn't show up for the day, like there'll be no trees planted, whether they dug the holes before or after. So everybody's job is important. And try to remember that too when you're the boss. I think that's super important. Yeah. When you become the photographer and you've got these people on the set, remember the days that you were. And actually, by the way, I very much knew when I was a photo assistant, if I worked for people that got lucky or knew somebody or whatever and got these jobs, let's say without working their way through the ranks, because they always treated the assistants and everything like crap, always, because they didn't remember or know or realize like how important their team was. It's like you learn by building your way up. It's like you start relatively at the bottom and you learn how to do all these different tasks and you realize how important they are and how important that person is that's doing that job. Yeah. Whether it might not seem like a big deal to you or not. And I think that helps when you're put in charge, because ultimately being a commercial photographer is about being like a boss. Like the actual, not like a boss, but the actual photography is generally not that big of a section of it. I mean, I say that like loosely because clearly you have to have talent to do it, but so much of it is organization and planning and a team and all this other stuff. Pressing the button ideally should be the easiest, simplest thing you do at the end of the day. All the rest of it, if you've got a proper team, you've done it right, is the work.
You're
actually is why I got kind of point. Yeah, you're basically a director, and it's super interesting. And it made me realize when I did that I would not want to be a director. I always thought before I knew nothing about filmmaking that I'd want to be a director, but then I realized I'd much rather be a DP.
Oh yeah,
or even a gaffer, but because I love the lighting.
I know gaffers that they're like, hell no, I don't want to be a DP. I'd rather be a gaffer. I'd rather just like focus on doing this one task very, very well. Because a DP, you not only do they have to deal with different departments and they have to be in charge of different departments. Not only they're not just focusing on one thing either. They're focusing, they're talking to the creatives, whether it be art department or the director, and they have to come up with an actual concept and everything on this side. Then they have to manage the camera team. Then they have to manage G&E. So like it is definitely way more bigger and encompassing that a lot of people are thinking. Some people are just, you know what? I'd rather do one thing incredibly well than spread myself too thin and not be able to cover these other things as proper or as well. And same with the director. Again, a lot of people think it's just like, oh, I want the camera here and I'll get the actor shooting their lines. No, you need to put your hands on every single department within 50, 60, sometimes over 100 departments, depending on what the production is. I mean, you're manning obviously from a group of people to an army of people at the highest level, and you need to know why the dress needs to be blue in this scene, and like all of these things you need to control, and you need to have at the most minimum level, you need to have an opinion on it, at the most minimum effort. But you need to have like a knowledge of it. Like, okay, well, yes, I'm trusting my makeup artist to do the makeup here as accurate as possible, but does this match what I already told the costume mistress, what I already told the set designers, what I already told the DP that needs to light all this, what I already told the actors, and are they going to fit in this, costume, etc. I mean, again, you need to have your hands on everything, and juggling. That juggling act is not easy for everybody, and some people would just rather stick to one very, very well crafted task, and that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's super insightful. And what's cool about it too is you have your hands on everything, but you have to also know to trust your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's key. Like that's why I say those jobs are more like being an organizer or a boss than actually the physicality of shooting. Because like I assume most photographers are watching this. When you start as a photographer, you you just pick a camera, you're like, I'm a photographer, it's like you're done, right? But like once you start doing it commercially or doing filmmaking, it's like a whole different world. Like that's not. I happen to have a camera sitting here. I don't usually.
Kinda, because you see, if you read Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew,
Okay.
it's actually his exact methodology for when he wanted to become a filmmaker. I think it's like within the first 20 pages of the book or something like that. He's like, it's like, okay, this seems like super far away from, something that you want to accomplish and stuff, to be a director or to be a DP or to be a filmmaker of any sort. Well, I'll tell you this much. Go out right now, get yourself business cards, put your name on them, and put filmmaker. There, right. You're a filmmaker. It's as easy as that. Like it's something that you are or you're not, because it's something that drives you. It's something that you want to achieve. So if you are a filmmaker, then you're a filmmaker. Go be a filmmaker. Don't just stay here and like, oh, I wish I was a filmmaker. No, you can immediately be a filmmaker, especially nowadays. This is what he wrote. It was like somewhere in like mid 90s or something. Especially nowadays, like you said, grab a camera, go out there, shoot something, do something. Like you are this. If this is something you want to be, this is something you can be. It doesn't matter how big or how small or whose validation you need. You can be this if you really want to be this.
No, you're right. I mean, that's actually funny. And it's funny that I just happened to pick this up, right? Because this is the 6500 with the 18-105. Like you literally could practically shoot a film with this. I mean, it's got all the things you would need to do it. I mean, you really could with that small package create some kind of a short film or whatever pretty effectively.
Yeah, definitely.
With knowledge, of course. Knowledge is I just mean that like photographers never think about a team. Like I don't think anybody that picks up a camera for the first time even thinks that. Whereas I feel like maybe not. I mean, I don't know what young filmmakers are like, but I just kind of assume that filmmakers that know anything about it understand that filmmaking is this bigger process. Where photographers don't see photography as a bigger process. I think they don't anyways. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's different today. But like, I didn't understand that. I read books about commercial photography and I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Because like, for instance, if you were to watch a TV show or a movie and they show a photographer, you see the guy with the camera over his shoulder and like a photo vest or whatever. And like, that's him, go watch Bridges of Madison County, right? It's like, boom, there you go. Right.
If anything, you see in movies like nondescript flashes just pointing somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And and then you're like, and then we're watching it like, is that an Elenchrom or is that a broncolor? You take like a whole minute just trying to. What
it's like, hold on, why is that flashing? That's not
that trigger's not the same. or you go like, I don't know if that trigger will work with that camera actually. You start like picking stuff apart. We should do that. I know that I forget if it's Vogue or something does, like swordsmen critique famous movies about swordsmanship.
Yeah, watch some of those. Yeah, that would be fun to do on Adorama actually. Yeah.
Maybe they already did it, but man, yeah, we should totally do. I need to do the research on that copyright for if we're going to be featuring actual movies.
Yeah.
But that'd be funny to see. I feel.
Yeah, that is actually pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, but then like when you see like a film set, like if somebody goes to like meet a director in a TV show, you see all the people running around and whatever. Yeah. So I think the common generic knowledge is that a film set requires a whole bunch of people, whereas a photographer is just some guy or girl, whatever, I guess that's just, or you like your first exposure to a photographer might be like a wedding photographer, or the photographer that shoots your senior portraits, and that's usually like a single individual, right?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Maybe I was just stupid. I didn't even really think about it. I was just like, all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, okay. There's like a bunch of people here, and like there's lots of jobs, and like you might have food, and you have models, you have makeup, you have hair, you have styling, you have prop styling. You
might even use the term crew.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like in the bigger productions, like I mean, there would be a whole like set builders would come in, even on photo shoots. So it can happen. It's like it's pretty awesome actually. And the first few jobs I did that had that level were just like the most amazing experiences. But then, like I said, after a while, you start to just feel like a boss, because like not like a boss, but like a boss, because you just do all that pre-production, and the day of the shoot, you got digital tech setting up the Hasselblad on a tripod, and you got everybody else doing everything else, and you literally just sit down and you're just like, okay, you press the button. There's actually
it's a job. It's a hard job, but somebody has to do it anyway.
Well, it's funny because it seems like nothing, and that's why I always get when and they're like, oh, that photographer has all these people. You have to understand that like there's more to it than that. Like pushing the button is once you reach that level, pushing the button is like the smallest part of the job. Like that's just like if you can't do that, then you would have never gotten to where you're at. So it's like that's just assumed.
It's the bottom of the iceberg that nobody sees.
Right,
exactly. The building up the production, the hiring the people, the knowing the people that would be good for each production, and then getting like the right people on it. Yeah, no, 100%.
Right, and keeping everybody, because directing creatives, like directing, like being the boss of creatives, is a different thing than like I was a warehouse supervisor when I was in college, to like pay for college. And it's much different to direct people that are like loading trucks in a warehouse. I mean, no offense to people, than it is to direct creatives. Creatives are often very sensitive. You've got to approach them differently. You can't just be like, do it. It just doesn't work like that, because you can't turn on the creative juices because someone's yelling at you and saying, doing it. You have to, stoke the fire to get them to do it. So it's a whole different type of, I don't know. I would use the word inspire, but that's really, it's more like inspiring versus just telling people what to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, I think that it's just a different field. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Commercial photography is super fun, and you get to do cool stuff like flying helicopters and travel all over the place and, have sets built, it is really cool to see it come together. But the reality of it is that I used to just love like throwing a bag of cameras over my shoulder and like going to like Def Jam to shoot some new artist, like in a conference room for a magazine, like when I had 5 minutes. Like that to me was just so much more me, Yeah. So I enjoy that stuff a lot more personally when I was doing that kind of stuff. But anyways,
Mike James in the chat. Yeah, I know. It's okay, Mike. It's better late than never.
That's right.
Need to change the battery on my camera.
Yeah, actually, the book is actually very good. The movie is also good. It's pretty true to the book, Bridges of Madison County. Have you ever read it, Fernando?
No, I have not. No.
Oh, you should read it. I might even have it. I will loan it to you.
I don't think I've even seen the movie, which is Clint Eastwood, correct?
It's Clint Eastwood. Yeah, yeah. I won't say anything about it, but yeah, it's Clint Eastwood, who's amazing in his early years. This isn't that early for him, but so basically
that was like later in the game.
Yeah, it's later, but it's like 15, 20 years ago, like not like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I don't know. You'll have to Google it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's pretty old. I don't even. Okay, maybe
I thought it was like early 90s.
I don't know. Well, early 90s, dude. That's like early 90s is 20 years ago.
That's my point. Is it probably like closer to 25 years, Daniel?
Oh my God, it's even earlier. I try not to mark time.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I try not to do this on live streams, but
no, you got to.
Madison
All right, let's find out. I'm surprised somebody hasn't jumped in yet.
1995.
Oh wow. Well, that's the book or is that the movie?
No, the movie.
Okay. Yeah, so that's I can't
with
do math.
Meryl. See, you should have said Meryl. You should have led with Meryl.
Oh, Meryl. That's right. I
only
think of his character because he's the photographer in the movie. That's he's shooting for National Geographic.
Got it. No, I will try to. I'll see if it's streaming somewhere.
You forgot it had photography in it. Like the movie is literally about National Geographic. I believe National Geographic photographer. At least the book is. They might have taken for copyright or whatever, taken it in the movie. Photographer, and his assignment is to go on this like week-long or 2-week-long trip to photograph the bridges of Madison County. So that's literally what he's doing. So yeah, I don't know why that came up, but there you go. But like, well, actually, he does take a good amount of stuff with him in the movie. But
memory test. What camera does he use?
Oh God, it's probably. I'm going to guess and say it's Nikon F3. I don't know, but that's me totally guessing because everybody used a Nikon F3 back then. The F3 is like an amazing camera. So if you want to buy a film camera, that's a great camera to get. There's tons of them out there. You can put the motor drive on it. It is the iconic motor drive sound that every movie uses. That's the F3.
I have the F2 up there in the shelf.
That's a Canon F2 though, right?
No. I have the Nikon F2.
What's your Canon? Don't you use those Canons?
I have the the Canon F1 as well.
So the F2 is a Vietnam era camera, I believe. The F3 was like after that.
The F2, I think, no. The F1
was
was
after.
1972. I
Oh, because that
forget
is the
what.
Vietnam. I know that in
Well,
Apocalypse
the
Now, or
F1.
whatever, they use the F camera. I don't know anything about Nikon history. I'm sorry, guys. I do have a Nikon though.
Where's Seth
I have a
when you
lot of
need
different
him?
cameras. But why is he taking pictures of the bridges? Because there was no Instagram in 1994. Actually, it's taking place. I think the movie's taking place in the 60s. All right, spoilers for the movie. It's taking place in 1995, but it's a woman reading, I think, her mother's diary from when, I think possibly before the child was born. So from like the 60s or 50s. Yeah. So there you go. That's what the book's about. I recommend reading it. It's very good, and it's not very long either. But yeah, the F3 is like the classic. I used to work for this photographer, and he had long hair, so that's where I got it from. And he used to use F3s, and sometimes the other assistants would forget to flip down the rewind lever. You know how you rewind the film. So he'd use the motor drive, so he'd be shooting with it, and like a hair would get caught, and I'd be like,
Oh boy!
oh my god!
Wow!
You'd be watching, and be like, oh. That happened all the time. Oh my god! Because the lever would spin as you were shooting. Yeah.
Hunter has the FM2.
Those cameras, you leave the lever up when you fire the first couple frames to make sure the film caught. Because if it spins, then you know it's pulling the film. Then you flip it down. Like if you're working fast, you know, we used to load like 5 of them at a time and like pass them down the line. Yeah. Anyways.
This is why I don't have long hair, because of that.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to keep it where I can have it. Like there's none up here, so I'm trying to keep it. Actually, it's getting to the point where it's hitting my shoulders and I can't get a haircut. So I mean, I'm
Have you tried to cut it? Have you tried to cut it yourself?
I'm thinking about doing it. Yeah.
Go for it.
See how that works out. I mean, I'm just gonna trim it. I'm not gonna like clip it because then it will never come back. I always say I'm going to show the pictures of me with short hair, and I have them somewhere. I like the mohawk. Yeah. That Fernando's got. I'm like watching you on delay too, because I'm watching this.
Thank you. Yeah, this is more like a faux hawk than anything. It's just like right here.
Yeah.
But
I had hair like that when I was younger. I did actually have short hair. Like
you make it sound like I'm like so younger than you.
Yeah, I mean, probably when I was about your age, when my hair started getting more and more thin, and that's when I decided to grow it out, because I was like, oh, maybe a little bit younger than you.
Mm-hmm. The modern version of Bridge is a movie would be used with a drone. Yeah, he's right. The drones of Madison County.
Well, or people would just shoot it on Instagram. You know, but that's the thing. Like some of these books and magazines and stuff that were out back then, they were like these like in the 60s and stuff, in the 50s, they were like the Geographic would put out, because people didn't see the stuff that they see now. We're living in like a really interesting time that you can like follow somebody, let's say in Japan, on Instagram and see shots of the city like Tokyo or something every day. It's really kind of cool, But back then it was like, no, it was rare.
No, yeah, it was definitely more of a, like an experience where nowadays it's definitely just more common to be familiar. I mean, we see it with food as well, globalization, man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like now we can just, pick like how many ramen spots do you think there's in the city? I
do love ramen.
I mean, it's so freaking good. But
you're making me want ramen now, and I can't have it. Damn you.
But it's like how many ramen spots are there where you're like, I don't like this ramen spot. I like the ramen spot that's like past of these 2-3 other ramen spots. It's a little bit further. That's the one I like, and where. See,
this is the true Fernando coming out right now.
Yeah.
I just go where he wants to go, because he's definitely the foodie. You've never failed me.
Seth says that like every time we go on a trip, I make him gain weight.
Yeah, you do pick the good ones.
Well, not only that, but like the guy doesn't eat. Like sometimes either he eats too much or he just doesn't eat. So I'm like, I'm trying to feed him like well. I'm trying to stuff him, but just like have a meal, man.
Yeah, you're right. He's always like running around and like, I don't have time to eat because I'm gonna have these crackers. I'm like, I'll get you something. No.
Okay. There's no time. Like you're just wasting more time saying
there's a box of Cheez-Its. I'm like, what? Oh, I love Seth. Oh, I was gonna say, remember that place that in Vegas on the old I know it's not called Old Vegas, but where we went, that Italian place, and we had to eat at the
Golden Nugget was the name of the casino.
Right, that was the casino.
I forget right now the top of my head what the what the name of the restaurant is
Yeah,
that
that
we
was a
went.
good Italian place, man. Yeah.
It was so freaking good. So 2 years after that, my wife was free and she was able to go to Vegas with me, and we went to that exact same Italian restaurant. Oh my god! But that one we went wow. Like when you and I went, we was like, we got to keep the budget tight. Let's make sure we order something, and let's just eat it. And I think I had the raviolis. I forget what you had at that point, but like, I went with her, and it's like anything you want, babe, anything you want. A bottle of wine, and let's get the oysters or whatever. But like, it was so good. Everything we had there was so delicious. It
That
was
is a great restaurant.
yeah, it was definitely a really good Italian restaurant.
Yeah, because we used to, because we would have like a certain amount of money, right, that you're allowed to spend per day on food. So we would like eat as minimal as possible, like cup of coffee in the morning, so we could have a fancy dinner at night. That's how you travel, man.
You gotta keep that per diem. Yeah, you gotta keep that per diem.
You gotta stay within the per diem, so it's like boom, boom, boom.
Oh my god! But man, yeah, that's the only reason for. I mean, I'm sorry, but like for me personally, that's the only reason to go to Vegas whenever we do conventions and stuff, because we like we go like 2-3 times a year for that.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's the main reason to enjoy, because I mean, I'm not a big drinker. I'll have a drink here and there, but I'm not a big drinker. I don't like to gamble per se. Like all the attractions of Vegas aren't really meant for me, but from here and then you'll find like good restaurants. So tracking the good food is that's my vacation, just like not worrying about stuff and trying to eat good food in between us shooting. That's my goal.
Yeah, trade shows, that's a whole other thing, man. That is not easy to do.
Oh my god, no.
That's tricky stuff, guys. So when you see that, you should really like those videos when you see Seth out there killing himself, because that's hard to do, running from booth to booth, shooting it all, then these guys going back, editing it, getting it up. Oh man, that's a lot of work for you guys.
Yeah, I mean the things, like especially like the first day when we're barely like getting there and like planting our feet, and sometimes doing like trying to catch as much B-roll as we can, so we have that for the rest of the week. And then we just literally start the morning, shoot the interviews, try to cover as much content as we can, edit, and then post that evening. Like usually like the first day. Oh shit! I gotta get back to work because Seth is in the comments telling me that I need to get back to work. Sorry, okay. Daniel. You get back to work. Aren't you? Shouldn't be live somewhere?
Yeah, Seth, go back to work. He is working. He's being interviewed by an Adorama host.
Yes.
Actually, we've been on for a while, but yeah, see, it gets away from us. We got a lot to say. So, go ahead.
No, yeah, I don't know what I was saying. Seth.
No, I gotta know. So one final thing, I have to know how you lit up your background, because it looks pretty good.
Oh, not sponsored at all, but Nanlights Pavo tubes. Those things are really, really cool. They're RGB tube lights. Very, very durable. Can definitely take a hit. They're very affordable, actually, especially for tube lights. They can sometimes get pricey. But yeah, no, the Pavo tubes are really, really good. I would normally say there's a link in the description, but no, we're not at Adorama. So
no, but are those the same ones that I used with Andreas, or except the smaller ones, right?
Yeah, the ones you use from Andreas are the 4-footers. These are the 2-footers, and they just came out with a 1-foot.
They're so cool. I know that, like, for a lot of people, like, it's a bit of an expense to. I mean, they're not super expensive, but they're not dirt cheap either if you're just buying them to put in your house. But man, they're so cool.
They're very, very good. We use them. We use them all the time. Like at first, I think the first time we used them, it was when we took them to Europe. You could probably see the live view of Makeup Forever that Seth did. Or no, was that
Is that the Paris video?
No, I'm lying. We still, those haven't come out yet. No, the Paris video was that we used the flexes on the Westcott flexes on those. Those were because they were RGBs. No. Those are other ones that haven't come out yet. But yeah, those are coming up soon. There's more content to be put out. The what?
Yeah, there you go. So watch Rewind from when Seth was in Europe with Fernando.
Yes, we used them there. We used them in a bunch of stuff. And like I said, you used no. Okay, he's correcting me. Yes, that's the one in London. Yeah,
London.
We still haven't cut. We're gonna cut that soon. We just, with everything that's happening right now, we haven't had time. But you're
gonna cut that video, and people are gonna be like, "Why are you traveling to London during the pandemic?"
That is true. We use them for Rewind in Amsterdam and London. That is true.
Nice.
But I love these tubes. These tubes are, again, they're very, very affordable. They're good quality. They're well built stuff, and simple to use. I feel. I mean, every time I've lent into like other filmmaker friends, they're all like, "Wait, what is these? They're not these other brands, whatever." They're usually like very impressed for how simple it is, like the good color fidelity, and they're decently bright. They're not the brightest thing. Like if you're expecting like something closer to like an HMI or something, no,
yeah,
of course
they're not formal. I mean, well, what's cool about them too is that, well, I don't know if the small ones do, but the big ones, they had like instructions right on the tube.
Yeah, same. The 2-footers have the same. I don't know if the 1-footers, because they just got announced. I don't even know if they're out yet. But yeah, no, I'm gonna need a 1-footer or two just to carry in my bag. It's one of those things where it's like, at first it was like, oh, these could be good as accent lights, and now I have them like as part of my kit like all the time, because I mean, they're RGB tubes. They're great.
What kind of they're called? Nanlite, NANLITE, or is it?
Yeah, NANLITE, exactly. Seth just wrote it down.
They sell them at Adorama. You guys can check them out there. Seth will put a link there so you can use his promo code to get it. Sorry.
Nanlite, and then the actual name of it, because Nanlite is the company and they have like different products. The name of the actual product is Pavo tube, PAVO tube. And then I think they have like the 30C is the 4-footer, and the 15C is the 15C or something like that is the 2-footer, and then they just came out with a 6C, which is the 1-footer. Something like that. I don't remember. Again, it's
That's
funny.
Pretty cool though. Yeah, everybody's got colored lights in the background. I'm feeling a little left out, so I have a little warm going on behind me today. But
yeah, no, you need to join the clan. You're not an official YouTuber until you have, like neon lights in the background somewhere.
Seth can't put the link in the chat.
Well, no, he's not authorized. You have to do it. This is not Adorama.
I won't put that swear word that you put there. Yeah, if you go to I don't remember they sold them. I'm terrible at this. I need more instruction. I don't know. Can you just buy them? They're cool. They're not cheap, but they're cheap for what they are. Or they're inexpensive for what they are, but they're not. That's usually one of the questions, right? Because each piece of equipment, it's kind of like the data light. Like I love my projectors and stuff, but like, it's not dirt cheap, and it's not for everybody, but for that thing that it does, holy cow, yeah. So.
Also, I gotta mention that because when everything was happening, and we only I grabbed like 2 bags full of equipment out of the office because we knew that we were gonna bunker down. We didn't know for how long. That I forgot my main light kit, which is like the Westcott Flexes. I was like, I need a good key, and I was like, what do I have for my own personal like equipment and everything here? It's like, so right now I'm being lit by a Rifa. A 22 Rifa. The
Rifa is nice.
It is very nice.
I was gonna say, what's your key like? Because it's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's a Rifa. It's a Rifa right off of the camera.
Man, those Rifas are sweet.
They are sweet.
I don't think they make them anymore, do they? They might. I don't want to say that. You go on Adorama, you'll see Lowell Rifa.
Lowell Rifa, and then depending on the numbers, the size. There's the 22, the 44.
Yeah, you want 50, the little one.
55. Yeah, I think this is the 22 that I have here. But for a key light is really, really good. And I have it on a dimmer because that's kids, because this ain't no LED. Yeah. This is all tungsten. But yeah, I have it on a dimmer right now, like on a 500 dimmer, and I think I have it at the lowest setting even. Like it's not as like bright as it can get, which would be.
Yeah, they're punchy. Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, they are punchy.
Yeah, the Rifa is designed in such a way to like maximize the light output. So it's like 250 for the small one, but man, it really kicks a lot of light out for a softbox, and they're designed that if the bulbs explode inside of them, it doesn't go through. Were you there on that live demo when that happened?
Yes.
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 I've had it explode on a demo.
We were lighting Chano and
That's right.
Lorena. We were doing a scene from The Social Network. I miss scenes in a box, by the way.
Yeah.
I miss those, like, we just build, like, we're in a black box and we just build a scene. Like, that's some of my, like, most enjoyable work. Sometimes when it's like a job, you're stressed about the job, but this is just like, let's build a scene. Let's just teach people and stuff. And it's like, if it comes out great, awesome. If it doesn't, it's fine. You're still teaching the basics of it, and that's like the main reason why we're there. But there was some decent fun stuff there. But yeah, I remember that one because, like, Chano had, like, the Rifa, like, right here. It's like, poof. I was like, okay, so this just happened, and this is why it's like this.
This is why we got the Rifa. Yeah, I mean, they're awesome. So they're made for filmmaking. I mean, it goes to show you why you need to use the right kind of softbox, because, hot glass coming at somebody's face is not a good thing. So, I mean, I don't recommend that you try it, but if it happens, you're good. The Lowell guy told me that when they first came out, they used to bring them to trade shows, and they would take a lighter and just hold them against it, like, to show people that it won't light up. It won't. But he's like, trade shows wouldn't allow us to do that anymore.
Yeah, I wonder why.
As you might imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only have the 88, which is the giant one, because, of course, back then Lowell was like, we'll give you a good deal on a Rifa. So I'm like, oh, I want the most powerful one. And now I wish I got the small one, because I almost never use it. It's just so big.
The 88 is fucking massive. Yeah,
it's giant. 1,000-watt bulb. I mean, it's awesome, but it's like I hardly ever use it. So
it's very specialized. Like, this one to me is more like if you were to have what's the box that you and Seth love to use?
What, the little Provoto box?
Yeah, the 1.5 by 2 or the 1.5 by 1 or something like that. It's similar to that. It's a small little box. As long as it's like a certain distance from you, it, like, gives you great light. It's easy to fold and transport, and it's a self-contained soft box. Can Seth join the video? How long are we gonna go?
I think we're almost wrapping up. We can bring Seth back though. We'll do a with Fernando next time.
Yeah. Let me know. Let me know, and the three of us can totally jump in there.
Yeah. But this was awesome. Yeah, I think we've probably gone long enough. My butt's starting to hurt, and my coffee's gone.
We can share Adorama war stories.
Yes, to an extent.
1.3 by 1.
Yeah, Seth loves that box. I like it's basically the Shimera extra small is roughly the same size. So.
Got it.
That's the
one.
There
you go, Hunter. We're gonna just tease it for the next time, and then the three of us will go live next time. Daniel has a minute.
Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely do that, because it'll be really fun. It was great having you on. I miss talking to you, so I'm like, I'll get Fernando on this so I can hang out with him. Because you guys are so busy, I don't see you as much. We used to see each other every day. So.
Yeah, I know. Sucks, not the same.
Yeah.
I need to go back to playing D&D with you guys as well soon.
Yeah. Fernando's played a dwarf. You can tell by the beard.
Adam, I'm going live at 6 p.m. Eastern today. Oh, yeah. Right. That's right. Today is Wednesday. Yeah. This is my job.
Good,
I know
guys.
exactly what's going on.
If you are watching and you don't know this already, Seth will go. Was that on YouTube, Seth, or is it on? That's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go on AdoramaTV. If you guys don't know, youtube.com/AdoramaTV. 6 p.m. Seth's going to be on. You write so quickly about image rights. So that's pretty cool, with lawyers and such. Cool. All right, so we'll bail here, guys. Thanks for watching and all that. Oh, actually, I don't know how to stop it. Oh, here we go. This over here. Okay. Seth writes in the chat the same way that he texts me. It's like, I'm like, jeez.
Pulling an all-nighter, JK.
Oh, man. All right, so it's on YouTube. Okay, so perfect. So check that out, guys. I'll jump in the chat there so I can harass everybody and ask questions. But thanks for watching and everything. We'll have Fernando back again. Is Film Fernando at Film Fernando on Instagram? Is there a better way to reach you? That's probably the
best way. It's at Film Fernando.
I put it in the description. If you want to, follow Fernando, he's pretty awesome. I only hang out with awesome people. It elevates me. All right, so let's stop the thing. Thanks, guys.
For watching, guys. Take care.